Hey, welcome to the Reviews and Brews podcast with your hosts Zenodro and Damage on the
What's
mic.
going on?
Yeah, we've been on a little hiatus recently, together. Dan was trying to quote unquote find himself. Uh, have you found yourself, Dan?
I found myself a long time ago. All right, what are you drinking?
Miller Lite. As basic as I can be.
Damn.
At least it's not a
Well,
Bud Light. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not drinking Bud Light.
I'm not
I
saying you're drinking Bud Light. I'm just
I'm
saying.
drinking, I'm drinking Budweiser actually. This is
Are you
this is
drinking a
my
Bud?
this is my, this is my family beer.
uh,
I bet you don't even remember yours.
it's Sapporo. Okay, it's Sapporo.
Oh, okay. Look at you.
I
Look at
actually still
you.
have the same can from when I got into my family. So I'm
Okay.
literally looking at it right now. I have it.
What's your family name again?
It's Goodwill.
Mine is citizenship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cheers. Dirty.
Cheers to yeah. So what are we talking about?
So today we are going to be reviewing a short film that we had the pleasure of getting access to. So
Yeah, so the
there,
name of the short film is
Milam,
12 millimeters. It is
12
about
kilometers.
no, it's the size. It's about because it's about the size of your. So that's why they named it 12 millimeters, isn't it?
More like
That's not the.
1200. Well, so the way this came about, well, the short movie's called 12 kilometers. And the way I found out about this was through a TikTok my sister had sent me. And it was a post about how there's this like really good short movie going around that has limited like exclusive access and that not everyone can watch it. And there's certain like requirements for you to in order to be able to watch it. And I was like, let me go for it and see if I get access. So this film is made by Mike Pecci, and the process was if you DM'd him on Instagram 3 of your favorite horror movies, he may or may not. If he agrees with you, he may or may not. If he agrees with you, he will send it to you. If he doesn't agree with you, you don't get access. Essentially, so
That's
I
pretty
sent
dope.
him. I sent him my 3 movies, and
And you
this
pick.
was
Did you pick Leprechaun?
oh, of course, Leprechaun was in the mix. Of
Uh-huh.
course, absolutely. Like Leprechaun can not be. I would be in a disservice to myself and lying if
I'm
I
trying to
didn't
think
do
of
it.
what I would pick. Probably the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Nightmare on Elm Street, maybe, and maybe I don't know if I would still like pick like an old one or I would go with like something newer like Hereditary. But if I did
So
pick an
I,
old
I
one,
said I said Get Out, Leprechaun, and It. Those are my 3.
Get Out. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I always thought of it as like more of a thriller sci-fi type of deal. I never thought
It's
of
like
it
a
as a
it's like a
horror.
horror thriller. But just because Jordan Peele is a big horror fan, it's going to be classified as a horror in any sense.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So I sent him my 3 on back in November, and he didn't hit me back until April. So he was filtering through maybe a bunch of DMs until then, and that's when he hit me up saying, "I'm one of the few picked to see 12 kilometers."
That is dope, man.
So I'll have to leave a review at some point on IMDb and shit like that, but I'll do that after this podcast episode.
What did you think of the movie? Or yeah, short film.
So the short film for me made me long for more. Like the way it ended, and even just the way it began. There's already just so many questions in your mind about how it got to the point where it got to,
Mm-hmm.
and without like spoiling too much, you have one character pretty much like trying to put a stop to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of all that, you have two other characters just completely oblivious to everything that's happening around them until
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the end.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just, I just find myself asking a bunch of questions, which I mean, I feel like is the point of a short film, is to leave like wondering about a bunch of things. And I can say that after watching it, I left questioning and curious about so many elements of the movie. But I thought it was pretty good in terms of the progression. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like it like started off strong and then died down. It was more of like a build up entire time, which was nice. And it was so it wasn't much. It wasn't like a roller coaster of any by any means. It was more of like
A gradual ascent.
I would say like a Ferris wheel.
But then a
Like
Ferris wheel goes back down. No,
yeah, I mean it went back down at the end.
I guess. I didn't I liked it to an extent. I did think it dragged on just a little bit at certain parts. I thought the cinematography was good.
Mm,
I think the acting was also good.
yeah,
Um I did like the fact that there were, questions that, still needed to be answered, but not enough like to make me be like I wanted more. I feel like I was satisfied with what they gave us. Um, you know, and
see,
then all
I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't satisfied. I don't know how you were satisfied.
because I feel like in a lot of ways sometimes the story has been done a few times,
Okay.
this type of story. So it's like there's only so many answers that you could give to this type of story. You know what I mean? Like an ancient monster that was I don't want to, I don't want to spoil the film, but I'm saying
I mean,
like
we don't even know if that's the case
no,
though.
I'm not saying that that is the case, but I'm saying that there's so many, that the number isn't the number of possibilities isn't infinite. It's more that there's like a in the mind of the creator, right?
Mm,
Depending on how the creator is, there could be the creator can either be like I have a definite answer, right, of what it
right.
is, and then we can guess as to what that answer is, like what the reasoning behind what's going on is, and
Right.
there's a finite possibilities of what that could be, right? Looking at like archetypes and of like how films were in the past, or on the other hand, we could see that the director does the cop out where they're like, it's up to the viewers' imagination. Like, shut the fuck up. You have an idea of what the fuck it is, and that's your artistic vision, and that's what it should be, right?
Right.
Especially if the writer and the director are one and the same, then that's a definite, right? If the writer and
True.
director are two different people, then I could kind of see that their answers being kind of like a little different. But however, when you are kind of coming up with, how the film is going to be made, a writer and
Mhm.
director are in a bit of talks, I should say. You know what I mean? Like they're
Right.
talking about like how things should be. So in that regard, there should be like kind of a singular, maybe not totally singular, but close to singular vision on how to kind of approach it, right?
See, for
You know?
me, it was like I felt like where the movie, well, where the short started and ended was like in the middle of what would have been a fuller movie. Because because there you can tell shit happened before it started, or like if I was writing a movie and I was going to release part of it for a short, I can see why this specific section was chosen as the short,
Mm-hmm. No,
because
I do.
you get sort of like you understand how this thing came to be, essentially, and you also understand what it's capable of.
Yeah. We should just say spoilers at this point because like it's very hard
I,
to just speak so vaguely on something that is so short, you
that, that's
know.
that's true.
So like I'm just gonna be
So,
like spoilers. But yeah,
well, without spoiling too much, you're thrown into this situation where someone's coming to put a stop to this research program or excavation program that's going on, and you find that there's this thing that takes I don't know, it reacts or delivers some sort of frequency signal that pretty much just makes you have a stroke, essentially. And the guy that's coming to put an end to this gets caught up in pretty much the web of what's to come by having this thing be released, and it ends in a way where you're not entirely sure what exactly this monster creature or whatever it is. Like it may be like an extraterrestrial type of situation. It may be like something more supernatural, or paranormal. Like you just don't know. It gave me more like science
mm-hmm.
fiction though, if that makes sense. Like I don't know if you've seen that movie. I think it was called Life or some shit like that. It was about like this monster attacking these like astronauts in space, and it was like this like slimy, crawly, slithering thing. So I got from it. Those are the vibes that I got, like similar to the monster in that movie. So it's only like 25 minutes, so it's like fairly short. But
You know what it reminded me of? At least the ending. If I could talk about the ending,
yeah, go for it.
uh, it's you ever seen Hereditary?
Yes.
Remember at the end where it kind of end like it's a totally different movie and stuff like that. The premise is totally
Mm.
different, but the way that the movie ends is extremely different. I mean, sorry, similar, as in the unknown entity, as we could call it, right? We don't know anything about it. In Hereditary, we kind of find out a little bit more, and we kind of discover what it is. It's like a devil or some shit.
Right.
But in this movie, it was a little different, and it's just like something we don't know at all, right? Very unknown, to the point that it's what's it called? Yeah, it's just unknown. But anyway, so it kind of ends the same way where the protagonist gets controlled by this unknown entity, and then the movie ends. And that's the same way Hereditary ends, where it's like this entity is just controlled. That's what I'm kind of saying about like in regards to like these kind of I don't want to say tropes, but there's so many, just a limited amount of like ways that it could end and what it could be, right? Like if you think about it,
Yeah.
clearly it's some sort of like okay, like it's the unknown, right? And so when
Right.
you're thinking about, that's the scariest thing when it comes to anything that's horror type, is the unknown. That's how you
Mm.
kind of, and that's how you kind of approach things, like to make things scarier,
Right.
Slashers rely more on not the unknown in the aspect of not knowing when the surprise is going to come. That's how slashers work, right? On the
Yeah.
other hand, other movies like the new school horror films really bank on the unknown as like these entities that you don't know nothing about, like you feel kind of
Mhm.
helpless. You put these people in like a very helpless position with no like, you know, reasoning of what is going on or anything, and you may
Right.
never give like Midsomner and Hereditary being great examples by the same director as well. And then so that's like a different way to kind of approach it, right? And so
Right.
with this movie, it takes a place with the unknown. You know, I keep saying unknown, 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 but that's how like how you do it. I think a great
It
example of
is.
like of showing like when like that aspect works is during your the movie Bird Box. You ever seen it?
Yes. With Sandra Bullock.
So yeah, so in the Bird Box, just like a kind of a short abridged version is like there's some like monsters that if you like look at them straight in the face, they like make you want to kill yourself or something like that, right?
Hmm.
Um, Originally when they made the movie, right, in a deleted scene, they actually well before I say that, in the movie you never see the monsters ever.
Right.
They see, you know, you look at the people look at them and then they kind of like, you know, then they kill themselves. In the actual like there's a deleted scene where they were actually gonna show the monster,
Hmm.
and it was like this weird ass looking like vulture with like a baby's head on it, and they just kind of scrapped that idea because they were like it's
Didn't they
much
hint
more.
at that in the movie?
I think that yeah, there was pictures
Yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
they made the picture scarier because what ends up happening is that by putting like some sort of like pictures, but also like making it vague, you kind of let the audience kind of like rummage around. It's like
On the
how do
gap.
they look like, and
Yeah.
right, and an audience like there's nothing in the world that a director can come up with that's scarier than what's in the audience's imagination,
Right.
because every person is different and they're scared of every little thing. Like, you know, uh, Dan is scared of butterflies. So like, you know, maybe he thinks it looks like a butterfly. No, I'm just kidding. But like, you know, like things
No,
of
I
like
got you.
that. Somebody, you know, will see
People's
things and
levels of fear are different.
yeah, fear of different, what they're afraid of. They're gonna think of like the most scariest thing, right, imaginable in their own head, and then that's what's gonna take, you know, when they're seeing that movie, and then that'll raise their fear even more compared to like if you just already see what it is, like with a
It's like
horror film.
Pennywise.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Hmm.
Pennywise uses like takes your worst fear and uses it against you. So similar to that, like not giving the audience something to look at when it comes to what's behind the scare makes them have to envision it themselves. Like if you give them like in the movie Bird Box, like you were saying, like there was drawings, but there wasn't anything substantive to really give you that full vision of what the monsters are. So the culmination of not knowing exactly what it looks like, with hearing the noises and seeing how people react and the shadows moving past, it makes the audience want try and put the picture together inside their heads themselves.
No, for sure. That's yeah. So I think yeah, and that's like the most important to the most important point to in order to be able to figure out um
So this is the little description of the movie. 12 Kilometers is the culmination of director Mike Pecci's worst nightmares come to life. During recovery from an accident earlier this year, which left him in recovery with a cracked skull, a creature began to emerge. A black, oily creature, evil manifest. So I guess the director was in an accident. Well, not I guess. Clearly, he was in an accident and had a cracked skull. And I guess because of that injury, he started seeing shit, which inspired him to write 12 Kilometers.
oh, interesting.
So
Yeah, the concept is interesting for
it is
sure.
it is an interesting concept.
I feel like you know, with the right the yeah, write up, and they can definitely execute it much better. With what they had, they did a good job, so I don't really, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's a short movie. So there's not a lot to go off of in terms of like giving your feelings on a full movie because it was you sit down and watch it 25 minutes later it's over. So you really just have to take what you're watching as like I guess with a grain of salt because you don't really know what happened before the movie started, even though where it starts at is like kind of in the middle of shit.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like I
definitely
can
true.
like I can imagine it starting off in a way where like there was a whole different excavation team already there, and then all of a sudden they up and vanished, and then a new team had to come in and take over or some shit, or who knows? Like, or like the first excavation team could have left because weird shit was happening, and then a new one had to come in. So, like you said, it's really up to the audience to piece together the beginning of the movie and their thoughts on the monster of the movie as well.
Yeah, and I think that's like a lot of great horror movies do is like a
Mm.
or just movies in general. They make you wonder, make you think about things in general, I guess. But
Right.
especially with horror movies, because at the end of the day, a horror movie is meant to scare, and
That's
so
true.
if you get to use the audience imagination against them,
Right.
then that's like kind of the best way to scare them
That's
in a
true.
way. You just got to do it in a unique way. That's kind of like what I was saying. It's this has been done before. I already kind of see. Not saying like those movies that I mentioned are original in and of themselves, but
Right. And it's not saying just because it was done before that it's not a good system either.
mhm. So
But
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
no,
I
yeah,
yeah, I did enjoy it. And if you would like a chance to watch the movie as well, I would follow at Mike Pecci. That's Mike Pecci on Instagram. DM him your three favorite horror movies and hope that you get chosen to be a part of the exclusive people that got a chance to watch 12 Corners. And then he also has a podcast called In Love with the Process. So even if you don't get access right away, you can still check out what he's doing on there and how talking about the process of making 12 kilometers as well as a bunch of other things.
yeah. And also, there's one more thing that we need to talk about. Is there something that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I was ending that portion of the podcast, and then we can talk about whatever else.
Oh yeah, well we ended with that. But no, but
Yes,
shout out to Mike Pesci. A
and
good
12
film.
kilometers. Great marketing and promo because that exclusivity point really got a lot of people involved.
Yeah, Maria gives it 2 paws out of 2. Right, Maria?
But
What do you
yes,
think, Maria?
so
Do you want to say anything?
you want to give us a meow real quick?
Maria, yeah. Shit. And Maria's camera shy.
But yeah, so on another note, uh, we got Zenodro's single Villains out on all platforms. We got my single About You
About
out
you,
on
banger.
all platforms.
You guys gotta look at that
Make sure you add
or
those
listen
to
to
your
it.
summer playlist. Make sure you add those songs to your summer
Yep.
playlist.
Video coming
Definitely
soon. I got a mixtape coming soon, so check that
listen,
all
a bunch of
out.
shit coming soon, you know. I'm dropping another single next month. We got some shit in the works.
Yeah,
So
Maria got something in the works too. You want to tell them what it is, Maria? Oh, not yet. Okay, sorry. That was
Oh,
that's
and if you
in the
haven't
vault.
already, Zenodro was a guest on Diving Deep by Studio 814. So be on the lookout for that episode dropping sometime this week. Shout out to YV Dean, who we're gonna have
YV
on the pod,
Dean.
who we're gonna have on the podcast soon.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Lando. He's been on this before. He's been on this twice before. Um, and make sure you go check out his new album, Montana Magic, as well as The Collective featuring YV Dean, Lando, Stello, Overdrive, and Instasane, available on all platforms.
Yeah. And as always, we got to remember One Piece is better than Naruto. You saw that
One
episode with
Piece is
Zoro and
not.
King? Zoro and King, Zoro and King. Yo, that was
One
so dope.
Piece. One
I'm sorry, I
Piece
scared my
is mid.
niece.
One Piece is mid. Um, but I will say One Piece, like I told Zen, is exactly like Fairy Tale in terms of pacing and everything. And you can't argue any other way because even in Fairy Tale, everyone has their weaknesses and shit like that. Natsu and Luffy are the same person.
I don't think so. I think Luffy's dumber than Natsu.
I mean, yeah, I mean Luffy's like one of the dumbest shonen characters.
Is he dumber than Goku? Nah, I don't think so.
I think they're probably the same level, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. That's just like a trope, though.
Not necessarily. Like you watch Black Clover.
Yeah, Asta.
It's not really dumb.
Asta's a little dumb. Not like dumb, but he's like a little dumb.
Hmm.
It's a
Naruto's a
shonen
little
thing
dumb.
I've noticed.
Naruto's a little
Yeah.
dumb. Yeah.
Like not like a lot, but like yeah, Naruto in like in even in Boruto, he's still like he's much more wiser. But like when someone's talking about something like very complicated, he does that. He'll do that. I've seen it in the manga where he'll like do that face where his eyes kind of scrunch up, like he's trying to like think about like what's going on, but he can't figure it out.
Mm.
I saw it like twice or three times.
I will
Um,
say that in terms of who's dumber, Luffy definitely takes the cake in terms of time skip. Like Luffy's still dumb after the time skip in One Piece as he was before the time skip. At least Naruto and Naruto Shippuden isn't as dumb as he was in Naruto.
mm-hmm. I guess.
But yeah, Luffy is just dumb.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully not. One Piece ends really well. It's already on a good, but I don't think it will. No, I haven't seen a shonen or just like an anime in general where they ended really really well. Like the endings are so hard. It goes back to what we were saying about the horror stuff with the unknown and
Mm.
stuff like that, where it's like you know like right now One Piece there's so much going on that like all like the fans are always like you know oh this character just like kind of appeared but like there's still a silhouette of them, so they're like coming up with all these theories right about like who they could be, right? So there's no solidified answer, right? And the fandom's like
Yeah.
kind of just against each other in different ways because they're trying to figure it out, right? But then once that answer is like exposed and it's
Mm.
a lot of people you know are probably not going to be satisfied with that answer, the same way of how like Naruto got ruined because the Atsusuki, right? Some dumbass
Yeah.
aliens just come out of nowhere, so it ruined the legacy of Naruto and made it second place to One Piece forever. So like just
says says maybe a tenth of the population that watches anime.
Well, yeah, but the cow. I think like I saw it really quickly because I saw it after it like all aired, so it didn't really bother me. But I could imagine like seeing it week to week, and then like out of nowhere it's this random ass alien lady that's like the main bad guy. I would be like kind of pissed. There was like no
I
indication it was this
mean,
random ass alien lady.
I would say that they didn't need to introduce Kaguya as soon as they did, with having them have just fought Maka and Obito. They did not need to
It's just
introduce Kaguya. I feel like they could have done like a canon movie that introduced Kaguya and had that whole situation go down, and
it was
then
just
just
yeah.
start Boruto after that
It
instead
was
of
just
having
funny to
that
me.
Boruto movie.
It's just funny to me because like it was just like too much because it was like now that I think about it, it's like you have the Atsutsuki where it was like so the Atsutsuki were being manipulated right by Pain, who was being manipulated by Obito, who was being manipulated by Zetsu, or who was
Wait,
being no
I think you're confusing them.
yeah no Obito
It's
was
the
manipulated by
Akatsuki was being manipulated.
yeah, but the top of the I'm talking about the Akatsuki members other than
Obito.
Obito. So Obito was manipulating them, but Madara was manipulating Obito, but Zetsu was manipulating Madara
Yeah.
because of the Otsutsuki. Yeah, so it was
Mhm.
a lot of, it was just like, but wait, that's not all. It's like, you know,
It just felt like they were trying to end Putin really fast, and they were like, "All right, we got to throw in this threat too if we're planning on having Naruto spinoff
mm-hmm.
involving these people."
I guess that could be. I think they're gonna do a third spinoff though. Seems like it in the manga because they introduced the
Who?
next the god like that was like the next thing like they see like who's like oh there's like what's worse than one Kaguya, a clan of Kaguyas. Boruto. And then like and then like in Boruto there's like what's worse than a clan of Kaguyas. Wait, what are they trying to do? They're trying to become gods. A god Atsusuki.
Well, I
Sora.
mean, the theories surrounding that is that Boruto is actually that god, not Momoshiki, because they were saying that the horns that Boruto displays are more similar to that original Otsutsuki god, and they're not like Momoshiki's horns at all.
Mm.
So
Well, we'll see what happens. I think what if they do make a third, I do think that they'll make a third one because everybody wants to see like fucking, which can probably be the strongest out of the three. Like Boruto and Naruto would be probably Uchiha, uh, Uzumaki slash Hyuga.
Hyuga, yeah, it'll
Hyuga.
be
Yeah, and whatever the hell Sakura is. Nah, no one cares
you
about
almost
her.
name
So like just like that
Sakura Haruno.
mixture, it'll be probably the strongest out of all three of them. Like the next Hokage will probably be Konohamaru. And then after Konohamaru,
I
who do you
don't know
think?
about that.
I don't. No, not right away. I think this is what I think was gonna happen. Just real quick. So I think that because there's a time skip now. I think during the time skip, since Naruto is presumed dead, but he's not. I think what's gonna end up happening. Spoilers. Well, this is not spoilers, but spoilers for like before. This is my theory. I think that they're gonna do like a third Hokage setup, right? Kind of reminiscent of Naruto's dad, where when Naruto's dad died, the third kind of came back. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna have Kakashi kind of come back to do that work, right? They could also have
Interim.
Tsunade come back, but I think they'll have Kakashi come back instead. I think that just makes more sense because although he came back in the anime, I heard he doesn't really come back in the manga. They haven't really seen him, so
Oh yeah.
uh, so I think that's what's gonna happen. He'll be the one running the show for in Naruto's absence, the same way that it was done before. Because there's no one like although Konohamaru would be like the next and kind of spiritually in line, especially according to the fandom, he's not ready to take that step yet. So like they would have to wait. But like, let's say after the show, you would probably be they'll probably do like a Kakashi thing at the end of the show where like they introduce Kakashi as the Hokage, but they'll probably do Konohamaru in this in Boruto instead. After Naruto's like, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. And then in the next show, I think Sarada will be the Hokage, like when they're like adults, and it'll be about Sarada and Boruto's son. At this
Or
point, I
or
think
or
it's
daughter or daughter.
oh no, it'll probably be daughter. I think it'll be daughter. Actually, no, I don't think they're gonna do three boys in a row. I think it'll be. I think you're right. I think it'll be a daughter. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like Hokage, I'm just like, will they be too focused on trying to figure out Boruto, like where Boruto at, to even have time to appoint new Hokage?
Well, because
I feel like,
it's a 4 year time skip. It's not a 1 year time skip.
yeah,
So they'll
that's
have
what I'm saying.
time.
Like, because you still have Shikamaru there. I don't think Shikamaru is going to say, "Let's put Konohamaru as Hokage." I like.
No, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna do Kakashi. I think Kakashi's just gonna come back because there's nobody that is able to take that position. You know.
There's also no real threat besides, spoiler alert, Boruto, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That's the only threat that they are considering at this point in time. Well, and Code,
Oh yeah, I forget about Code.
but I guess it's just, I guess it comes down to, is Code going to be like, you know how in Naruto, even though there was the time skip, you still saw the episodes like during the time skip of like training with Guy and like that. So I wonder if like Code really hasn't seen much of anything in terms of like him waiting on getting his revenge. So we don't know what Code's about to be up to during this whole time skip situation.
Yeah, it'll
Because
be interesting.
he's on his own at this point.
Yeah, young Jiraiya too. The clone Jiraiya too has got stuff he's got to do as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. And him and Amato are still in cahoots. So
Yeah, I think of course Sasuke's gonna be the one training Boruto during the time skip. He's like, I trust my daughter, so I'm gonna take. I've already been a fucking fugitive when I was younger. This ain't nothing new to me, so I'm gonna just do it again. Something's definitely off, especially since she awakened her. Maya was it Magen? How do you spell it?
Mangekyo,
Mangekyo Sharingan. So that'll be so then he was like, damn, yeah, I gotta figure something out.
but it's definitely got to be anyone that loved Boruto a certain way remembered who he was. Because
I think it's deeper than that because what ended up happening, I remember they were in weirdly
it
enough.
wasn't just Sarada. Sarada wasn't the only one that.
No, it was class rep.
Class rep too. Yeah.
Class rep and her were in the no, but it's they already realized they were somewhat immune to that girl's effects when they were like chilling in bed with her, as weird as it sounds, and both of them realized that they weren't affected by her charm like everybody else was.
Right.
So that was before the whole thing happened, and so there's something along those lines that.
But that's why I'm saying I think it's because they both love Boruto
I guess it could be that.
because she fell in love with Boruto when he saved her in the earlier episodes, the class rep.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarada's always been in love with him, even though she just never come out and said anything.
In denial. Mm-hmm.
But like the class rep clearly was always in love with Boruto.
Yeah. It better be Sarada and Boruto because we need that Soruto.
I mean, the only
We need
other
to,
person they'd probably put Sarada with is Kawaki.
yeah, we need Soruto though.
But that's if this other chick doesn't end up dying, because I think Kawaki kind of likes her too.
Yeah. We'll see what ends up happening. I think it'll be good. We're getting to the point where we want to be. So, but
Yeah.
we could end it there, I guess.
All right. So thank you again for tuning in. Once again, if you want the access to 12 kilometers, make sure to follow at Mike Pecci on Instagram and send him your 3 favorite horror movies. And tune into his In Love with the Process podcast and catch us same time sometime next week. Make sure to follow at Reviews and Brews podcast on Instagram, and make sure you follow at Zenodro1992 and at the real underscore DMG on Instagram to stay up to date with all of our future music releases and podcast updates. And make sure you follow those podcast playlists on Spotify and Apple Music. And we'll catch you next time on the Reviews and Brews podcast.
Peace.